Because I had so much weight to lose, I knew that any diet I started, I would have to be in it for the long haul. So I'd prepare myself, then start the diet. I would think, when I am thin, I will travel more. When I'm thin, I will eat nice foods. When I am thin, I will get a tattoo. Socialize more, wear nicer clothes. The list really did go on. But everything was prefaced with, when I am thin. I would start out strong, but as I saw no change in either the scales or how my clothes would fit, and a couple of months went by, I would actually lose momentum and fall off the wagon. I think if I only had a couple of pounds to lose, it would have been fine, but a year or more was just way too much. It was especially disheartening when I usually didn't lose anything, no matter how little I ate. I did get down to a size 18 once, but then that stalled and stopped. And restarting that diet a few months later didn't help either. When I contacted their support line, I was told to increase the amount of exercise I was doing and eat less. Now, I was hardly eating anything, and I was so exhausted, I had no motivation or energy to do more. Some days I walk a lot in work, so was doing a lot of steps, and work travel for that contract was within the UK, so I would take the train most places and then walk to the hotel or bed and breakfast with my suitcase. And since my suitcase and bag were filled with things like laptop, notes, sometimes training guides, so the loads were not usually light. And this went on for years. I would start diet, exercise program, or both, start strong, but with no results, I would go back to my normal eating habits. After I decided to have surgery, I actually gave up on diets because I knew that I would be forced to change post-surgery. So during that time, I ate all the foods that I thought I would have to give up. And I actually ate more than I had in years. I felt like, if I felt like a steak dinner, I'd go and have one. Well, that and vegetables. If I wanted dessert, I would share it with a friend. Now, once you have weight loss surgery, you're actually restricted in what you eat. Because it's surgery on the stomach, you can't just go back to eating normally right after. You have to go through stages. You start with liquids, slowly move into soft foods before moving into solid foods. Some foods are harder to digest than others, so you do have to wait months, sometimes a year, to introduce them back into your diet. I lost about 10 pounds in the first month after surgery, but then weight loss slowed down, stalled, then stopped. I truly thought that I was actually a failure, that I'd wasted my money and should just concentrate on work and forget anything else. I called in desperation to the dietitian, Gail, and she told me to go on the business trip that I was being sent on, but instead of working the entire 10 days that I was there, to actually take a bit of time off to see the sights, eat food, and actually not worry about a diet, but just enjoy the city that I've never been to. I do feel it is best to talk to a professional about diet and be really honest with them when discussing it. I had met with Gail before, and I had met with other nutritionists and dietitians before, but nobody actually listened. She did. Now at that time, I'd not only gone back to my old habits, but I'd really gone a bit further. So for breakfast, I would buy an individual plain yogurt or low-fat yogurt. on the way into work and eat half of it at my desk and then throw the rest away. At lunch, I would buy a sandwich from Tesco's Express, open it up, scoop out the middle, eat the middle part, and throw the bread away. For dinner, I would have half a cup of soup or half a yogurt. I don't drink tea and coffee, so I was drinking very small amounts of water. But since it tasted like metal, because that can happen after surgery, I wasn't drinking a lot. So the advice that Gail gave to me was actually tailored to me and the abuse that I was doing to my body. I look back and I can actually see why my body refused to lose weight. At that time, a few months after surgery, there were a lot of foods that were not on my allowed list because they could actually make me sick, or they were bad for my stomach, or just really hard to digest. I was told to forget all that, and if I was sick, to enjoy myself. Gail could see that I was under eating and that I just needed to start enjoying food and finding healthy foods again. Now, being somebody who regularly undereats is actually really unhealthy. So I arrived on a Saturday to Washington, D.C., and stayed in a very nice hotel, 2 minutes from the office in one direction. In the other direction, it was 2 minutes from the White House. On the Sunday, I went into the office to check that the training room was set up and everything was ready for me to start teaching first thing on the Monday morning. But the air conditioning wasn't on, so the office was stifling hot. Once I checked that everything was okay, I went back to my hotel, took my laptop to the restaurant, and I worked while I had something to eat. I'd ordered a Caesar salad, which was a very, very bad decision. I was so sick from the afternoon and the evening. Now, it's not because there was anything wrong with the salad, nothing at all, but because my system didn't like what I ate. Now, that happens even now occasionally. It was actually the lettuce. I couldn't eat it for years, and even now I'm just thinking of it. Ugh, yuck. I remember that I was told not to worry, that if I was sick, just keep going and take the time out to enjoy myself. So I actually did that. The office had a wonderful restaurant with amazing food, so I ate there for breakfast and most lunches and had a few snacks there. Something I stopped worrying about was eating appropriate foods at specific meals, because different cultures have different breakfast foods, and what we consider a breakfast food, another culture might look at strangely. So I ate what I felt like eating rather than what was expected of me. Okay, I also started to get out more. Some of my delegates that I was teaching, they traveled in from other offices and were staying in hotels. So we went out for dinner each night, trying out different restaurants, wandering around. On the Friday night, I did a walking tour. And then over the weekend, I took a hop-on, hop-off bus tour to see the city. By the time I went home 10 days later, I had lost 10 pounds. Yes, I ate more than normal, but still a reasonable amount. I did not overeat, and I also did a lot of walking. Nothing hurried or rushed, just wandered and enjoyed the sights. So getting home to find out how much I lost really started me thinking about what I'd done and what I'd changed. That was when I truly understood what Gail was trying to tell me: to live my weight loss, to stop waiting to do things that made me happy or that I thought I would do when I was thinner, like walk around a city, try different foods, go out with friends. Now, I remember being at home after this trip. I lived in a very small flat, and I was walking from where I was weighing myself in the bathroom into the living room, and I caught myself telling myself, when I am thin. I stopped and realized that I was actually holding myself back. It was me. It's an extremely negative phrase that doesn't really sound that negative. When I am thin. Not now, but sometime in the future. A far off time that I actually couldn't see. I could not picture it. I was holding off living my life for this far off future time. I needed to stop that. So I started to meet up with people from one of my weight loss groups that I went to, and we started walking. We walked and talked at the same time. If we couldn't chat while we were walking, then we were walking too fast and we slowed down so we could talk. I was traveling with work quite a lot, but instead of thinking, oh, I need to be careful on how much I ate because I'm trying to lose weight, I actually started to try more foods. I was still careful in that I made sure to have fruit, vegetable, carbs, protein, and as many macronutrients as I could. I also started to dress in clothes I wanted to. They might not have been the size I wanted to buy, but I still bought clothes that I loved. As the weight started to come off, I had boxes of clothes in different sizes that I'd kept since I arrived in the UK as a size 10. They were all stored in boxes of the same size, grouped together, in order for the largest at the top of the stack, and there were 9 boxes in total. Every month I'd open a box and try on the clothes. It was better than Christmas Day. It was so fantastic. Some were clothes that I'd only worn a couple of times but loved and started to wear again. For the first time in years, I actually felt free. I felt happy. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders as well as being shed from me. And because of my job, I tend to do a lot of lessons learned after training sessions, and this was no different. Throughout the months I was losing weight, as well as after, I thought about what I was doing differently. Now, as I've said, it wasn't just acting different per se. I had exercised a lot before surgery. In fact, actually, I did a lot more higher intensity workouts before. I ate less before, sometimes on diets that were well below my basal metabolic rate. That's the minimum number of calories that you need to be alive. Instead of looking at food like a necessary evil, something that I had to have, but I had a really complicated relationship with, I started to let go of that distrust and hate. And it was hate. I thought of food as a fuel for my body, but that it needed to be a fuel that was good for my body, but also that I enjoyed, that I loved. That meant trying new foods, starting to cook more, use different cooking methods that were healthier. Now, I had a soup maker well before my surgery, but I started to really love trying out different combinations. I actually didn't use recipes, I just experimented to see what I got. The air fryer became my new oven, and I still have one, and it's great fun trying things out in it. Just this weekend, I've learned how to make crispy chicken in it. Love it. So I thought about foods differently and let go of scarcity. And it was a scarcity mentality for food that I was constantly thinking, you're eating too much, eat less, you have to eat less. I stop my thoughts of that. And I also start my thoughts of when I'm thin, I can eat more. I stop thinking when I'm thin. I quit thinking that some foods were naughty or that I could eat naughty foods to make me feel better when I felt sad or depressed, or even to celebrate. As I said, I let go of it all and food became okay to eat. Healthy meals were not depressing, but something to look forward to and actually savor. To eat enough and not need sweets or chocolate. I had to find new ways to cope with feeling sad or depressed. Now, walking and slow jogging really helped. There are so many studies out there that show how exercise can help with emotions and depression, but I felt it. I think it was a combination of exercising, but also being with friends, chatting with people who knew what I was actually going through. Now, I'm not the type to look forward to a workout. Even though I feel great after, I look forward to meeting up with people. It was really the socializing and have people who wanted to try different activities around me that helped. So we tried them together. It's much easier to walk into a room full of strangers with a friend than on my own. But then I also like the bling that you get at the end of a race or event. Now it became routine to walk, jog, water aerobics, hula hoop classes, anything else I could try. Changing my mindset was the actual catalyst. It felt like a switch was being flipped in my head. In reality, it was a lot of different things over times that my mindset just helped to make those other changes easier and actually last over time rather than falling back into old habits. I can still feel both the sadness from before and the freedom and lightness as I learned to live my weight loss. And then COVID lockdown hit. I moved to a new area. My father died because of COVID and menopause snuck in. An aunt that I was close with passed away. More menopause. Slowly, I've actually allowed myself to slip back into that old feeling. But speaking to you now, I know that's actually time for me to start living my weight loss again. To actually be the person I'm supposed to be. Do you relate to this, or does this resonate with you? Please click on the thumbs up to like the video and let me know by making a comment if you have the same issues, if it resonates with you. Maybe you have the same issues with food or exercise or just life. But do let me know. And do add any comments with suggestions on more topics that I can talk about in future videos. If you'd like to watch more of my videos, please do subscribe to the channel. If you're not sure how to subscribe, please add a comment letting me know. I actually have another channel, IT Training, for showing people how to use software, and I can send you a link to a video that shows you how to do this, how to like, subscribe, and what they actually mean. And I just want to say thank you so much for staying to the end. I really do appreciate it, and take care and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.